no tienes que pagar lo que llaman ciertos prestamistas extra, porque a veces si no es automático, hay ciertos que te cobran un poquito más. Serían como $10, usualmente no es mucho, esos los podemos usar para algo más. A ellos les gusta que sea automático porque casi les estás asegurando que tú siempre vas a tener dinero en el banco.
Okay, perfecto. Hi, everyone. If you're just joining us, si están ahorita con nosotros, this is Bilingual Finance Fridays, being brought to you by Diana Gamino and myself, Cristina Trujillo. This is a labor of love. There is no monetary purposes to this. Diana comes from the nonprofit sector, but she's also a licensed real estate agent. And so today we are talking about housing in terms of preparing for successful home ownership, and also for what it means to prepare for homeownership, how to read a mortgage statement, which is very important. And also we'll be discussing avoiding foreclosure, right? Because we understand that right now as a nation, we're somewhere within that spectrum of having the means necessary to become first-time home buyers, or perhaps we're in a situation where we're at risk of losing our home. So stay with us because we have some important resources to share. Si están con nosotros, este es otra vez nuestro show de los viernes son para las finanzas. Aquí estoy con Diana Camino, que nos está hablando de cómo prepararnos para comprar una casa, tener y ser propietarios, ¿no? Homeowners.
Propietarios, ajá.
Propietarios, pero en una manera que pues... en una manera exitosa, ¿verdad? Que nunca no vamos a perder nuestra casa. For everyone that's just joined us, please feel free to ask us questions. If right now we're covering the subject of home ownership, preparing for home ownership, if you have any questions with respects to how to read that mortgage statement, please let us know. Comment below here and we'll answer your questions. But Diana, please, what's next on our list in terms of
so the other one is what we call it biweekly payment. Usually the biweekly, some mortgages, give you the option of let's say you owe $1,000 in the home, right? To charge it in two payments monthly. So 500 and 500 is very rare, but still exists. So I kind of wanted you guys to understand what's out there. Most clients just prefer to have the monthly one. Why? Because then you kind of just have to manage for one payment. It might be a bigger payment, but at the end of the day, just remember, is the same thing. It's really more like the cash flow. So if you really budget good, because the same income is coming in, and the same income is gonna come out. There's no difference. It's just that the difference is that they'll charge you twice a month. So all you have to do is if you just focus on seeing, okay, how I have to do my cash flow, how I have to do my budget, then you just focus on one payment instead of having two payments in one month. So el siguiente es el pago de 2 veces al mes. Usualmente hay hipotecas donde te dan la oportunidad de hacer 2 pagos al mes, pero es por ejemplo, si la hipoteca es $1,000, cobrarte cada 2 semanas 500 y 500, y entonces eso sería que están pagando haciendo 26, usualmente 24, 26 pagos al año en vez de los 12. Dependiendo en los semanas del año, pero usualmente, como hemos hablado y les hemos diciendo en el show, que si ustedes están haciendo su presupuesto bien y están mirando que cómo voy a hacer para mejor hacer un pago, usualmente es lo que yo recomiendo. Obviamente el cliente tiene la respuesta final, pero usualmente es lo mismo. Entonces tal vez eso nos hace sentir, ok, estoy haciéndolo en 2 pagos en vez de 1, pero al final, antes de que se termine el mes, se va a tener que hacer ese pago de $1,000.
Wow, okay. Yo tengo, please, por favor, pongan sus comentarios aquí, sus preguntas acerca de este tema. Please feel free to comment. For those of you joining us on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, please feel free to comment if you have any questions in terms of this particular subject. I guess my question would be, how does one, or when does a homeowner begin to gain equity?
Equity pretty much means what the homes are going up. So they usually, in general, just to kind of put it out there, and it could be obviously like obviously we have the real estate bubble and other things where homes have dropped, but in general, just like the stock market and other things, when we are making our payments and we're holding a property,
Yes.
most of them will appreciate with time. Why? Because land, if you think about it, the cost of living goes up, so everything else goes. So even if things drop, you always tend to see that at home. If you look at someone that purchased a home 20 years ago, they're still fancier than. So with time, I will say with time, and if you actually make if you start budgeting greatly and start kind of getting the hang of how this works, because just like I've mentioned before, the first 15 years you're paying more interest than your principal, so most of the money is going to the interest of your loan, and the last 50 is going more towards the principal. If you understand this concept and you're like, what, you can actually have the option of like, once a year putting money into that principal. Let's say, okay, I'm gonna put an extra payment and extra budget, and it goes only to your principal, meaning that you can pay this home faster because the principal is your actual loan. Once you finish paying this principal, there's no more interest you have to pay. And usually most mortgages, they might give you a penalty if you pay a home in 2 years, but it's very rare anyone will pay a home in 2 years. It could happen, right? But usually after that, if you pay it, then you don't have to pay any more interest because there's no principal anymore in the home.
I love it. Wonderful. We have a question here. Oh, hi, hola, amiga. This is, hi, what are the other platforms where I can see this? So you can see us on YouTube. On YouTube is Reem, so REEM Media. And so if you Google that, it'll come up on YouTube. We're also on Twitter, also at Reem Media and _. And we're also on Facebook, Diana. Our Facebook is we're currently streaming on your personal Facebook, Diana.
So Diana Gamino, my name is my name is rare and the last name, so you'll find me.
Yeah,
I
Diana
hope.
Gamino. Thank you, amiga. And so, okay, fantastic. And so now, do we need to translate that in Spanish?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Say if your mortgage is an FHA loan and includes mortgage insurance, will that mortgage insurance payment live the term of the loan terms, or can you refinance to get rid of that? What a great question.
You can.
Gracias.
You can refinance. You actually can refinance because when you go ahead and refinance, refinance just means you're paying the old loan and getting a new loan. So a lot of people are doing that actually right now because of the interest is so low. They're not taking money out. All they're doing is like, hey, this is an opportunity. I have like a 0.5 interest. I wanted to see if I can bring it to 3. That might make a difference. So, and usually the scenario is that they had an FHA loan. So now when they get refinanced, they actually are able, because homes have appreciated, they're able to get the mortgage insurance off because they have enough equity to do so.
Great question. Yes. Okay, thank you. Any other questions from anyone at all? Aileen. Yes, hi, Aileen. You just joined us. Gracias, Aileen. She just joined us on YouTube. Wonderful. Okay, so please go ahead, and if you may want to explain that.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Let me try to remember everything, okay, to do it in Spanish. So la otra cosa es el pago que pueden hacer. Usualmente cuando tenemos una hipoteca, lo ideal es que hacemos un pago una vez al mes. Pero hay hipotecas o prestamistas que usualmente también te dan la oportunidad de hacer 2 pagos mensuales. Pero la última, sigue siendo lo mismo. Solamente es algo tal vez su preferencia, pero al última, si yo tengo una hipoteca de $1,000, entonces si la voy a pagar en el mes, en 2 veces va a ser 500 y 500. So básicamente viene siendo lo mismo. Entonces yo siempre recomendaría, pero obviamente es mi opinión personal, que mejor, como les hemos dicho, manejar su presupuesto bien para poder ahorrar para esa hipoteca y pagarla y no nada más tener esa preocupación de hacerla una vez al mes en vez de 2 veces al mes.
Sí.
Porque entonces serían usualmente 24 a 26 pagos al año en vez de los 12 pagos, dependiendo en cuanto a, dependiendo en las semanas del año.
Okay, perfecto. Also, if you've just joined us, I finally figured this out. If you just joined us on Twitter and other platforms, you're actually able to see the document that we're going over right now, which is checklist for making your monthly mortgage payments. Okay, so what's next on our list, Diana?
The next one, I don't like it too much, but it's being delinquent.
Oh,
So
but
being,
that's perfect for the
but that's
avoiding
perfect.
foreclosure. Yes.
Yes. So usually being delinquent just means that you have been late in your payment, and it could even be just once, but like that you really have been a couple of days late. And usually, if you're a couple of days late, if it happens, you can always call the mortgage company. Just don't hide from them. Some people just want to avoid it, but they are humans, especially when the pandemic. Just talk to them. They're not, they can smart guess what you're thinking. So don't be afraid. And I know some people get like really anxious and everything when it comes to stuff like that if they can pay, but just tell them. They'll give you your options. And usually, delinquent, most people who after one or two that they're delinquent, most likely they kind of feel like, okay, I cannot even catch up. And a lot of people usually, get really scared to call and just really tell them. But remember that they have a department specifically for hardship. So just understand that they have that department and just tell them what's going on, and they can tell you what options they have for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And in terms of avoiding that topic of being delinquent and what to do under those circumstances, on the resource that you provided, Diana, on the pages that you provided, what is the what is it page 2, or is it that
I
on the same
page two is
document? Okay, perfect.
so it's the attachment to that I send you. It actually has a 1-800 number, which is the HUD
Hmm.
number, and that's the best number. Don't wait until you've been so many days, so many months late, because usually foreclosure can start, fast, and usually, within usually by the third month.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that you take action, even like if you know already ahead of time, 1 week or 2 weeks ahead, that you won't be able to make your payment. Call them. Some people sometimes, and I understand it's because they're afraid or they're scared. They tend to wait so long until their options might not be the best options. And even the real estate and even if you don't want to sell a home and for them to like get foreclosed on. You want to hear the stories of clients thriving and being successful, and being a homeowner comes with responsibility, and there's no longer a landlord. You are the owner, so you have to face whatever you have to face to be able to keep your home. So don't be afraid. The people behind the line, they're human beings too.
Right.
So but if you're hiding, anybody hates it when people are hiding. In general, it's like, okay, we're being here and we have the number. But I understand the reasons why some people will not want to call. But just ground yourself. Just like use the exercises that we always share with you guys and call that number. You want to keep your home. This is your home. This is like your hard work.
I love it. I love that so much, Diana, and that's so important. As Diana explained, they want to see you. Your Diana wants to see you, and people want to see you succeed and be a successful homeowner, right? And so, you touched on using your trauma informed skills, right, to tackle the urgency of having, making that call, right? Again, if you are joining us on the other platforms, you can actually, the image that we're trying to display right now, it's actually the numbers, the telephone numbers and the information that Diana's going over right now. So if you're joining us on Instagram, feel free to DM us your email and we can email this to you. But Diana, I love what you said, because essentially, if I were in a predicament where I'm anxious and I'm worried about losing my home, I'd actually use, in that moment of feeling paralyzed because I am afraid of having to go over, the my situation with someone that is that I don't know. I would actually use the skill called opposite action. And that is such an effective skill. So essentially, do the one thing that you are avoiding, right? That you're procrastinating on. Do the opposite action, because at the end, it's going to give you the results that you want. And so if that means that you're hiding from, making that call, or if you're procrastinating from making that call that you need, that can essentially help save your home, opposite action, do some breathing techniques, meditation, and then, make that call, right? Okay, fantastic. And we need to say that in Spanish. So vamos wonderful. And after this, we are going to talk about avoiding foreclosure. So we know that the pandemic has hit a lot of households, and so it's important to also discuss that at the other end of the spectrum, right? Because we're here for everyone. So Diana, por favor, ahorita les va a explicar cómo poder evitar perder nuestras casas, ¿verdad, Diana?
Sí.
Okay.
Entonces, la siguiente terminología es estar delincuente en el pago. Esa es una terminología tal vez que no nos gusta porque ya se oye un poquito negativo, pero es básicamente cuando hemos estado tarde ya en nuestros pagos y no se ha pagado esa hipoteca. So, una de las cosas que quieren hacer, y tenemos también el documento aquí, es todos los departamentos de hipoteca tienen un departamento para las personas que están experimentando dificultades financieras. Ya puede ser por la pandemia, por una enfermedad, cualquier cosa. Entonces, nosotros cuando pensamos antes de que, porque nosotros sabemos en sí cuando vamos a empezar a tener un problema de dificultad en un pago. Entonces, es tomar acción y llamar a ese departamento antes de estar esperando que el tiempo pase y estemos más y más tarde, porque acuérdense que esa deuda se está acumulando. Entonces, recuerden que con ser dueños de casa viene esa responsabilidad de ya no hay ya no son inquilinos, ya son dueños de casa. Entonces, con eso viene responsabilidad de poder tomar acción cuando tal vez no se pueda pagar esa hipoteca, porque al final del tiempo es su esfuerzo de ustedes y su trabajo de ustedes. Ustedes tienen que hacer lo que se pueda para poder salvar su casa. Entonces, no tengan miedo y pueden usar también los ejercicios que Cristina y nosotros hemos usado aquí en el show para relajarse y hacer esa llamada. ¿Por qué? Porque al final del tiempo eso les va a estar también ayudar con saber que ustedes pueden, porque cada que ustedes crezcan, especialmente en la capital o que crezcan su capital, el crecer nuestra capital y nuestro dinero te da responsabilidad. Siempre hemos dicho, cuando nosotros vamos creciendo, nos vamos saliendo de esa zona de confort, entonces tenemos que enfrentar lo que viene con esa responsabilidad de crecer financieramente.
Muchas gracias, Diana. Sí, lo que yo hago y lo que yo he aprendido acerca de las anclas, ¿verdad? Cuando uno está enfrentando alguna dificultad que es muy difícil, que nos da ansiedad, es hacer la acción, ¿verdad? La cosa que no queremos hacer. So en inglés se llama opposite action. So if you're just joining us, thank you for joining us. If you're just joining us right now, we're talking about avoiding foreclosure. So if you're a homeowner, and that actually brings to mind, I actually have a question, Diana. Do you hear that staticky sound?
No.
No? Okay. I can hear it a little bit. If our friends hear that, can someone comment and let us know if you can hear us okay? I hear like a static wavy sound. So if any of our friends can let us know, and if anyone has questions about avoiding foreclosure, that's the topic that we're covering right now. And in fact, this is a great time to share resources if that is the case. So let me pull this up here. Oh, this one we can see it really good, Diana. I pulled it up from.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, this is Housing Economic Rights Advocates. It's a nonprofit organization comprised of attorneys who work for you for not for profit, and they're available for you. And I love how this is actually, you can actually see the number that you can call them. HERA is actually a great nonprofit organization that can also help you with your credit. So if you need to fix any errors on your credit report, or if you have issues with a medical bill, they can assist you with that as well. If you have any issues also as a tenant, HERA is the organization for you. So I'll let our expert talk about also a little bit more about resources and how to avoid foreclosure, and free resources that are readily available for our community today.
Okay, yes. So the one that Christina talked, that's a really good one. And as well, every like I mentioned before, every mortgage company has a department just specifically for things like this, so they can give you as well your options. And when they give you your options, you can as well go to like community-based organizations. One of the really good ones in the Bay Area is CHDC.org. Again, if you guys want it, just DM us and we'll send it to you guys. They have credit coaches as well, housing coaches for free. I think Hope is a really good one as well in Oakland. So there's always, there's always your mortgage department for your home, and there's always the nonprofit sector in the community that can help you as well. It's like just like HERA, and just like CHDC, just like Hope. So there's always those. There's always those resources are there to help you, and they're free. But if the sooner that you're having this issue, the faster that you take action, the more options you're gonna have. Because if you're just letting this accumulate, they're like, okay, what have you been done for X amount of weeks or months, and why you haven't reached to anyone. So don't avoid it. You have to face it.
You have to face
it. It's okay.
Yeah, again, if you're just joining us right now, we went over preparing for successful home ownership, because we understand that everyone, people are on the spectrum. You're either, doing really well right now, even in the midst of a pandemic, and perhaps you're getting ready for a home to purchase a home as a first-time home buyer, or you're perhaps in a situation, right, where the pandemic has affected your household. There's no shame in anything at all, but everything related to finances, we're aware that it could cause anxiety and some panic. And so we advise folks that the really good technique to ground ourselves when we're facing a financial dilemma, is called opposite action. My friend Brandy just joined. Brandy is a successful homeowner, and she also has some really good. Please, Brandy, let us know any tips. Also, friends, please comment. Let us know your tips. If you're a homeowner, if you want to become a homeowner, we are taking your questions live right now. This is an interactive space, safe space, no judgment whatsoever. Right, Diana?
No judgment. And just remember, when you're making decisions or asking for help, there's just so many people who are ashamed of asking because, oh, I'm supposed to have it together. No, we always, we're a community, and just ask for help. We're here to help you, and it's free, Right. So it's a resource, it's a resource. So just take it and just ask the questions. I feel like, as a community, we're an asset. We're the biggest asset to each other because we're passing information. We're supporting each other during these difficult times. So there's no shame, just like we have mentioned, Christina and myself before, don't, if you're having a problem because with your finances, don't let that define you. Absolutely. Just really don't let that define you. You are separate. You are more than your finances.
Absolutely. And right now, the situation, with millions of people unemployed, right? And facing some type of perhaps housing insecurity, we know we're not alone, right? And I was just having a conversation with my friend Aileen, who has joined us here today. We were talking about the need for closing the gap of information to resources, to knowledge. And I think when it comes to the majority of us, we absolutely need to understand if we're the working class, right? And we are essentially empowered when we have the information that we need that's readily available, but we also want to acknowledge that there is a profound gap in access to information and knowledge, and therefore that is why Diana and I make this space. We've created this space for our friends and for all of you to come to join us on Fridays to discuss these very sensitive topics. And so we want to mention this in Spanish because we are a bilingual show. Estamos hablando ahorita, estamos dando aquí unos recursos para nuestra comunidad, esos recursos son de parte de organizaciones que son sin fines de lucro, ¿verdad? Que no les cobran nada de dinero. Estamos hablando qué podemos hacer, ¿verdad? Cuando estamos enfrentando una situación que muy estresante, muy dolorosa, como posiblemente perder nuestra casa. Lo primerito que tenemos que hacer es llamar a las organizaciones que están ahí para ayudarnos. Nuestra amiga aquí que ahorita que nos dijo, también hay una organización que se llama NACA, tenemos una organización que se llama HERA. Aquí está la información, si nos están viendo por cualquier red social, ahorita tengo la información puesta aquí. Esta organización sin fines de lucro les puede ayudar a prevenir perder sus casas, ¿verdad? Porque sí hay herramientas, hay recursos para todos los propietarios de casa, ¿verdad, Diana?
Sí, pero tenemos que pedir la verdad. Si no estamos callados por vergüenza, porque no quiero que sepan. Y usualmente, o sea, cuando ustedes van a las organizaciones, todo es confidencial. Entonces, es bueno, entre más pronto pidamos la ayuda, es mejor porque está pasando el tiempo sigue corriendo. Entonces, entre más pronto buscamos esta solución, más opciones vamos a tener. No dejar que se esté acumulando este pago mes a mes. Entonces, y recuerden también como todas las hipotecas tienen un departamento especializado para las personas que están teniendo una dificultad en hacer sus pagos. Pero si nosotros no hablamos, ellos no van a adivinar de por qué no estamos haciendo el pago. Ellos solo saben que no lo estamos haciendo.
Claro, eso es importante de no escondernos, ¿verdad, Diana?
Sí, no escondernos.
No los
So,
podemos,
so,
no los podemos esconder del cucuy.
No, entonces una de las cosas que son importantes es no dejar, como dijimos ahorita en inglés, no dejar que lo que tengamos financieramente defina nuestro valor o quienes nosotros somos como personas. Entonces es solamente un recurso, mirarlo como un recurso más y no mirarlo como algo para que nos vergonzoso, porque a veces nosotros mismos, o sea, somos nuestros peores jueces. Si algo pasa, tal vez fue mi culpa y es algo totalmente externo, que no está bajo nuestro control, así como es la pandemia. Nosotros no tenemos control de la pandemia, entonces no es algo que nosotros causamos para que nosotros tengamos esa vergüenza de pedir esa ayuda que ya está ahí para nosotros y es gratuita.
Muchas gracias, Diana. También tenemos otro recurso, infortunadamente por Instagram no se ve muy bien, pero me mandaste otra información, ¿verdad? Acerca
Sí,
de también recursos para prevenir la pérdida de casa. Yo pienso que este es aquí es, no sé, pero si los puedes explicar, Diana, este folleto.
Sí, básicamente dice, te da las opciones de qué hacer para no perder su casa, o básicamente hablar a su hipoteca cuando han tratado todos los recursos, porque a veces su hipoteca le da diferentes opciones. Si pueden tal vez pagar los pagos por un tiempo, si pueden pagar el pago y ponerlo como pagos finales después de la hipoteca, en los pagos finales la hipoteca cuando casi terminan de pagar la hipoteca, pararlos y después hacer otros pagos para poder avanzar. A la otra es la modificación del préstamo, que la modificación no es refinanciada. La modificación es tal vez si el préstamo estaba a 30 años, hacerlo en 40 años para dividir el pago, porque lo que están ellos queriendo prevenir es la foreclosure o que pierdan su casa. Entonces, por eso es importante cuando va a pasar el problema, ya que ya van a tener esa dificultad, porque nosotros vamos a saber, ok, tal vez yo voy a mirar mi cuenta, ok, está claro que yo no puedo pagar el siguiente pago, llamar inmediatamente a su hipoteca para mirar cuáles opciones tienen. Y al mismo tiempo pueden también hablar con las agencias no lucrativas de la comunidad, como es NACA, HERA. Entonces, entre más recursos tengan para mirar sus opciones, pues mucho mejor.
Pues mucho mejor. Muchas gracias. A ver, amigos, muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros este día. Tenemos ahora hola amiga, muchas personas aquí. Por favor,
Hi,
coméntenos.
Annie.
Coméntenos, pregúntenos cualquier pregunta que tengan. Brandy, I know you had some really good comments. You and I were talking just a few hours ago about what is expected in the housing market. So essentially, I mean, we have just a few minutes, Diana, but if you wanted to maybe share any information that you may know about what to expect in terms of the housing market, are we should we be preparing for the next recession? Also, one thing that I heard, oh, I'm so sorry, one real quick question. I'm not sure if you have information about this, but I did read a report that there's actually the housing stock is actually not that great right now because homeowners are holding back from selling their homes. So and that's actually driving or keeping home prices high right now. What is that about, Diana? If you know.
Some people, so basically, I think it's just the fear. Sometimes we're driven by fear. So I read different articles. Obviously, it depends on the economist. Everybody has a different opinion, but that one has mainly in terms of like, well, if I know in my mind, that's usually, it could be like when you're emotionally attached to your home. In my mind, I already know what my home is worth. So if I feel like I'm not gonna get that money, then I'm not gonna sell my home. So it just
But home prices are still up right now. What's down, what is historically low, are the interest rates, correct?
Yes. So homes are high, and I think that report might change because that was the case for a couple of months during the pandemic, where homeowners who wanted to sell, they were holding back a lot. So that you can see the impact right now. But I feel like right when we kind of started kind of going out more and people are kind of doing other activities, then I've seen more homes again in the market. So I was able to kind of see it, and obviously local markets are different. A home in a different city could look totally different than in another city. But what I have seen in general was a lack of homes when the pandemic started. So people were holding their homes. It seems like people are going back into selling the homes. So that was the case, I will say. But I kind of started seeing little by little that people are posting more homes for sale. But definitely there was very, very low inventory from my experience during the a couple of months.
Of couple months. Our friend here, Brandy, mentioned market uncertainty, physical insecurities. Thank you. So Brandy is actually the founder of an incredible nonprofit organization called City Horse. Please check her out. It's an
Oh,
amazing
nice.
program.
Okay.
Brandy, let us know, please, on the comment what you would like people to know about City Horse, because this is an incredibly important nonprofit organization that is also helping to close that gap, access to programs for our children, our inner city, kids that living in the city, and specifically in the Bay Area, that connects the kids to horses. Right? We don't see that often, so it's an incredible program. Thank you for adding to the conversation, Brandy. Yo ahorita le pregunté a Diana acerca de por qué estamos porque yo recientemente vi en las noticias que hay un reporte acerca de las hipotecas y que muchos propietarios no están vendiendo casas ahorita. Y solo que estamos viendo ahorita en la economía y en el sector de viviendas es que los intereses para el compro de una casa historialmente está bien, están bajos, pero el costo de la casa todavía está bien, están altos ahorita. Quería saber de Diana qué es lo que ella sabe acerca de este reporte.
Básicamente al principio de la pandemia, mucha gente que iba a vender sus casas o estaban pensando en venderla porque había como dijo City Horse, mucha incertidumbre en lo que iba a pasar con la economía en general, no solamente con el sector de real estate o bienes raíces. Muchas personas que estaban pensando en vender su casa, especialmente en el verano es cuando se venden más casas, porque es cuando usualmente muchas parejas compran casas para cuando los niños regresan a la escuela, estar listos, pero todo eso cambió. Entonces, cuando cambió todo eso, muchas personas que iban a vender sus casas nunca las pusieron en el mercado. Había un inventario muy bajo de casas, aunque el interés todavía estaba bajo. ¿Por qué? Porque pues obviamente estábamos en la pandemia, pero ahorita que están volviendo a reabrir todo, ¿qué es lo que pasó? Porque no había inventario. Las casas sí miraron, siguen elevadas, pero el interés sigue bajo y por eso es la razón principal que las personas siguen comprando, porque es un interés bajísimo. Entonces, si yo tengo la facilidad de pagar esa hipoteca, lo voy a hacer. Obviamente, como siempre le he dicho a los clientes, hágalo mirando sus finanzas personales, sus finanzas y su seguridad de tener poder pagar esa hipoteca mensualmente.
Ok, muchas gracias. Ok, gracias también. Aquí nuestra amiga Brandy los puso aquí su sitio web acerca de una organización que ella tiene que ayuda a conectar nuestros jóvenes, ¿verdad? Nuestros muchachitos a un programa tan bello porque aprenden los muchachos aquí en el área de la bahía, aprenden los muchachos cómo poder, nuestros hijos, cómo poder cuidar a los caballitos. Es un programa bien bonito. Gracias, Brandy, que comentó y que dio un comentario aquí. So, Diana, antes que tengamos que terminar, porque ya lo estamos terminando del tiempo aquí, estoy sorprendida que Instagram no los ha votado todavía, porque a veces ya a la hora yo pienso que a ratito
Sí,
ya los dice que los tenemos
sí.
que ir, pero bien
No,
rápido, Diana, sí, última pregunta y lo vamos a decir también en inglés. Es muy importante, ok, ahorita con todo como lo que estamos ahorita pasando, sí, ni lo puedo decir, imagínate.
I know it's hard. I was thinking.
Bueno, con lo que estamos pasando ahorita y que como me dijo, estamos ahorita viendo que es posible, la verdad, que vamos a tener otra recesión. Si vamos a ir en recesión, si se dice así, if we're going to go into a recession, do you still recommend purchasing a home now? Even with the the very probable recession that's pending.
I mean, the economy will always have different ways that is going up and down. I think the biggest one is only if it makes sense for them to purchase, and one of the main reasons why it makes for a lot of people is because the interest is low. But the biggest one is job security, I will say. How are you feeling about it? As a coach, just kind of knowing, okay, if we go into a recession and homes drop, they still have to pay this mortgage. I do believe if we do go in a recession, that it will not be like the real estate bubble, just because it's more challenging to get pre-approved now that without the rules. So it's not that they're giving loans to anyone, so that is secured. But however, there's other factors, like there's factors all the time that we have no control of. So if we go, just kind of knowing, the responsibility, and that's why it's so important for them to understand the mortgage and the responsibility that it is, because once you have this mortgage, it is for 30 years, right? So I think I think when people understand this and understand that, hey, if it goes down, yeah, maybe you purchase your home at, 350, someone might purchase it at 320,
I'm
but
so
you still gotta
sorry.
pay that difference.
That's perfect. We have 54 seconds remaining. So
Okay.
that Instagram doesn't cut us off, we're just gonna have to. Nomás tenemos 47 segundos. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos hoy día. Sí, por favor, prepárense muy bien. Asegúrense que sus ingresos están bien, que tengan ahorros, ¿verdad? Para poder comprar una casa y aunque que la economía, pues, se caiga, ustedes no van a sufrir. Muchas gracias.
Sí.
Thank you so much. Right, lenders don't like to finance. Okay, customers who change their line of work, which many people are doing. Okay, thank you so much.
True.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you so much for your
Thank you so
contribution,
much.
everybody. This will be live and this is going to be saved on all the other platforms. We appreciate you. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Diana.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
We appreciate
Cuídense.
everyone. Cuídense mucho.
Okay,
Chao,
okay,
chao.
adiós.